Boxing Truth here, back with another video. Make sure to smash that like button, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Alright, another Gervonta video. I mean, Gervonta's Twitter talk is funny as hell, man. He really shows his personality on the keyboard. He calls out a lot of fighters. Says he'll knock out these bum-ass dudes, even though the two weight divisions above them. Calls out 40-pound champions, but never fights them. Threatens a former 40-pound champion, but knows damn well he's never going to fight him. This has been disappointing. The disappointing aspect of boxing. A lot of Twitter fingers, a lot of Twitter beef, but no actual fights being made. Fights that we want to see, especially around the 130 lightweight divisions, 135-pound divisions. But you know, Gervonta's talking all this shit because he's got a protector that's there for him, that's gonna make sure that those fights ain't gonna happen. Gervonta knows Floyd's gonna protect him. Is not gonna even attempt to make a Regis Prograis Gervonta Davis fight. Look, that's not in their nature. Then they're not risk takers. They're all about the biggest reward and a guaranteed win. That's what they're all about, or close to a guaranteed win. Make it intriguing enough to where some of the boxing public may bet against it or even consider an upset. And surprisingly, there's some people that actually are okay with the Barrios fight, even though it's a clear cherry pick. It's for a regular belt that nobody cares about. It's not really an accomplishment. He's just beating up some average bigger fighter. Like, who gives a shit? Who cares? I mean, there's a reason why that fight's being talked about, because Mario Barrios is a sucker for a counterpuncher. That's the only reason why that fight is possibly going to be made. Barrios is too slow. He's right in your face. He's right in front of you. And he doesn't put his hands back up after he punches. The result? Gervonta Davis most likely wins by a counter-punch knockout. He's a good counter-puncher. Mario Barrios is wide open for counter-punchers. That's why the fight's being talked about. Because it's a favorable fight. It's a favorable fight for Davis, favorable style. It'll be similar to Leo Santa Cruz, who was wide open for counter punches as well. But he lets his hands go a lot more, and he's a lot faster. And he's a much more experienced fighter who's been champion in different divisions. So that was more of a proper fight. This guy, he has no experience at the top level. He's tailor-made for Gervonta Davis, even though he's taller, but he's not a boxer. He doesn't use his reach. He's an aggressive fighter who gets hit, which is why the fight's being talked about. Now, if Gervonta had moved up to fight Regis Prograis, that'd be fucking impressive. I'd be shadow boxing if Gervonta Davis moved up to fight Regis Prograis, because that's a much more threatening fight. Regis Prograis is a former champion. He's a pretty good fighter. He's experienced. He's been fighting top guys at the top level at 140 pounds. Has knocked out champions in that division. Has beaten pretty good fighters. He lost a decision to Josh Taylor, but Josh Taylor might be the best 140-pounder in the world. Who knows? He still has to prove it against Jose Ramirez, but he could be the top two best 40-pounders in the world that he lost to. Now that would have been more of a statement-making fight. That would have been something impressive. But Floyd ain't gonna take that type of risk. He won't even match him with Gary Russell Jr. So, how risky is Floyd gonna be with his matchmaking when it comes to Gervonta? Hasn't been risky at all, man. Old Gamboas. Who else? Bantamweights. Chop-worn fighters with one eye that they try to make with Abner Mares, which was, fortunately, it was canceled for Mares. Untested, unproven 40-pounders with secondary titles. Featherweights who are outmatched physically. I mean, we still waiting on a legitimate fight at 130. We still waiting on a legitimate fight at 135. And we're still, if he moves up to 140, we're still waiting on a legitimate fight at 140 pounds. Because Mario Barros ain't it, bruh. We want Regis Prograis if you're going to move up to 140. Shit, I'd even take Adrian Broner. I wouldn't mind seeing you beat up your friend, but we know that's not going to happen. This is what it is, man. Doesn't take much for Floyd and Gervonta to con his fans into thinking that the Mario Barrios fight is a great fight, or maybe they just dick riding. But it is what it is. Looks like that's the next fight for Gervonta. There's really no point in it. Is he really gonna stay at 140? Is he gonna take on bigger threats in the 140-pound weight class? I seriously doubt it. Just collecting secondary titles and conning the public with his cherry picking and matchmaking. And we're probably gonna be waiting 2-3 years from now for Gervonta to take a legitimate fight in the lightweight 130-pound divisions. We still waiting, bruh. We still waiting. We still waiting for that big fight. Hopefully, the fight will be made. A big fight in the 30-pound division will be made. Like, there's legacy fights for Gervonta, man. But Floyd and his team would rather do these showcase pay-per-view fights instead of pursuing a Teofimo Lopez fight. That's the legacy fight at 135, especially now that Teofimo's most likely going to be a free agent going forward. Plenty of fights for Gervonta to give the fans to the public. Unfortunately, they're not giving you the fans that they want. They're not giving you the fights that they want to see as of yet. He's going to be 27 years old this year. Hopefully, they start making some legitimate fights because the kid can fight. I understand why they're being careful though, because mentally there's something wrong with him. He gets frustrated easily in that ring, and that's when you're going to see the downfall. That's when you're going to see the shortcomings of Gervonta. Very good fighter, explosive, powerful, good boxing skills. But when the going gets tough, this guy really falters in that ring. But with the matchmaking of Floyd Mayweather, Leonard Ellerbe, and Mayweather Promotions, you're probably never going to see Gervonta in a real fight. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.